everybody, Backyard Bullion here. Now, I've never been a hardcore prepper. The metals that we buy, the silver, gold, and even some of these copper items here, are not bought for a Mad Max scenario, apocalyptic world where it would be used as currency, as a monetary form. That's not the reason that I buy metals at all. It's much more about inflationary hedges and insurance against the value of currencies. And I also think that having all of this lovely shiny metal doesn't do you a great deal of good in an emergency situation. And I've done a video on this before relating to the situation in Venezuela, but with 2020 going the way that it is going at the moment, it is ever more on my mind, and I think a lot of other people's as well, that just having a big lump of silver sitting around the house is actually not really going to help you a great deal, especially if you are not allowed to go out of your house or go to the shops, if you are forced to be isolated because of, and everybody knows not to say this word on YouTube, the situation that's happening at the moment. So today we're going to have a bit of a ramble about how my way of thinking has changed somewhat, I suppose, over this last couple of years of buying metals and being prepared for those type of situations. It is, of course, just my thoughts and opinions on the subject of being prepared and some of the limitations and, in fact, potential liabilities that can come from overzealous purchasing of silver or gold in situations like we're seeing right now. So my own thoughts and opinions, not financial advice, very important for you guys to remember that, but I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section, so please feel free to comment. All I ask is that you be respectful of mine and other people's opinions, and I'll see you down there for a good, fun, healthy debate. So obviously it's quite a tumultuous time at the moment, and I know a lot of people in the UK are certainly having a think about being ready for situations where they might not be able to leave the house a lot more easily, or travel, or do just normal day-to-day things that we take here in the Western world, our civil liberties, almost for granted. So I know there's a lot of people, there's a lot of news reports in the Western countries of panic buyings and things like that, and simple things like toilet paper being out of stock, or pasta, dried pasta, being out of stock in supermarkets. You know, those are the kind of things that will really help you in that very, very short term if you are not able to or allowed to go out of the house, for example. Having enough food is critical, because this lovely shiny stuff that we see here in front of us is fantastic. We all love it, and that's one of the reasons we buy it. But at the end of the day, you can't eat it. You can't sustain yourself with it. And if you are not even allowed to leave the home, how would you even use it as a monetary tool in that circumstance? You know, the restriction of civil liberties in the situations that we're seeing at the moment all around the world is, you know, quite scary, really. But at the same time, it's very, very important. So having this silver stuff, is there any point to it? Well, of course there is. And, you know, I don't mean to disparage people who want to prep and stack their, you know, for their future with silver and gold, but I do think there is a happy medium to be balanced here. Now, that doesn't mean that me and Mrs. Backyard Bullion have run out and bought a bunker's worth of supplies of dried goods and tinned food, but at the same time, it is smart to think about these things and to actually, you know, think about how you might be able to survive in your home without going out for 2, 3, 4 weeks. You know, we just don't know how things might progress over the coming couple of weeks and months. And these metals here, as I said, won't do you very much good just sitting there. However, I really can't see that being the kind of situation that we're going in now. The situation we're in, you know, it's scary. There's a lot going on, definitely. But I do think things will work themselves out and resolve over the course of the next couple of months. And we'll just see markets return to usual. You know, there is a lot of talk and a lot of videos coming out nowadays of, you know, people saying silver is about to shoot the moon because of the situation in 2020 and how the year is shaping up already with so much more stuff to come. I will be doing a follow-up video on that kind of topic, I think, next week, because it's, I think, a really interesting one to sort of revisit and think about. But I always would err on the side of caution and not, you know, expect things to go up voluminously, because it's just not necessarily likely. And in those kind of situations, you've got to really ask yourself, you know, what are you actually aiming to achieve with the sort of metals that you're buying here. Now, I know a lot of you sort of stacker preppers out there will have a lot to say on this subject, and I'd really love to know your opinions on this situation that we're in right now, and whether or not you are stepping up your game in terms of prepping and being ready. But I know for me, it's definitely a different way of thinking, and it's one that metals have kind of impacted, I suppose, in a way. Previously to this, I remember a situation where there was a big snowstorm in the area that we were, and the local shop ran out of bread, milk, and tea. I think it was very British. Bread, milk, and tea are the first things to sell out from the local shop because people couldn't get out very much. And it is an interesting way to think, and it's not something that we're sort of very used to here in the UK. I think so. Who knows is the honest answer. I've never been a firm believer in sort of that apocalyptic scenario. I'm very much a pessimist when it comes to that. I firmly believe if there was a global sort of nuclear war or catastrophe or Mad Max scenario, that I would probably be in the first wave of people that would not survive. So I don't really see a great deal of point in going full hog and having a bunker with everything there ready to go. But at the same time, it's starting to look like that is a good idea, but not really something I'm going to follow through on, I suppose. But self-sufficiency is very important, and being able to be self-sufficient within a short space of time, I think, is quite important, certainly with the current climate that we're in at the moment. So what does that impact on us in terms of the buying strategies in the next couple of weeks for gold and silver? Well, obviously the markets for both gold, silver and financial institutions out there at the moment are having a bit of a wobble, to say the least. I think that's definitely noticeable right now. There's a lot going on, which will often lead to peaks and troughs in both directions. So it's definitely something to just maybe think about waiting and seeing how it goes. But at the same time, there are a lot of arguments out there for the purchasing of more of this shiny stuff right now. But, I think it's really, really important that people take their own view on the subject, on what's right for them in their situation, how best to protect themselves, how to best make sure that they are looked after in that short term, I think is the most important thing. So I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions on this subject. I think it's a really, really interesting one that has evolved my way of thinking over time, and I think it's the same for quite a lot of people. I've started to see a lot more posts on the forum, the Silver Forum, as well as here on YouTube. Lots of videos starting to come up in recommended feeds about potential for 2020, and I want to do, as I said earlier, a bit of a follow-up video on that subject. I think in the near future, in the next couple of weeks, because 2020 is definitely a year to watch for metals. It's going to be an interesting year for the rest of the year, not just because of all the situation that's currently happening, but Brexit, that's definitely a factor that's going to play in. There's the US elections to enjoy and watch throughout the rest of the year as well. And, the world is changing. It's definitely a different world than it was a couple of years ago. So it's very, very interesting to sit back and watch and see. So if you enjoyed this video and this presentation, then please do feel free to hit the thumbs up button if you did enjoy it. And if you want to see videos from us in the future, then make sure you hit that subscribe button. The last thing that I want to just point out here is a message which I've tried to portray an awful lot here on the channel over the last couple of years, and that is the reiteration that everything is important, but nothing is more important than your own life and safety and well-being. And I think that's really, really important. Like, this stuff here is great, and this, it can be quite addictive. It can be quite alluring to go in on it even more, especially when you see lots of media outlets, big news items. When there was the big share drop on Monday last week, or Monday this week, I think, sorry, it was, quite evident that there was a lot of people out there that were going to go and buy metals. And I think it's really important to reiterate that it has to be right for you. It has to be right for your situations. Always think about those exit strategies and make sure that it is right for you, because there is nothing worse than making the wrong decisions and then losing out and regretting these things as you go throughout the rest of the year. So if, as I said, you enjoyed the video, please put a thumbs up on it and share it around on your social media. If you'd like to see videos from us in the future, then make sure you hit that subscribe button. Otherwise, that's it. Hope you're all happy and healthy. Stay safe, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching, and please make sure that you like, share, comment, and subscribe for more.